Welcome to the Smiles Are Wild show, brought to you by Pediatric Dental Associates and Orthodontics. We know as parents that taking care of your children's teeth can be overwhelming. That's why every week we will bring you educational content to encourage and empower you. Thanks for joining us. In the intro here, we talked about how we're going to be joined by a very special guest. And so today I want to introduce to you guys our new orthodontist, Dr. Skylar Maxwell. Dr. Skylar, say hello.
Nice to meet you guys.
All right. So Dr. Skylar is going to go over just a few questions. The initial reason why we're doing this is just to talk to you about what happens during an orthodontic evaluation. But something happened this weekend during a Razorback basketball game that we want to kind of put some importance on today, and that is mouth guards. So, Dr. Skylar, I know you were probably watching the game. You're a huge Razorback fan.
Yes,
so if you can just kind of stress why, mouth guards are important. Obviously, they prevent injury, but do you have anything else to add about that?
It really hurt my heart to see, that tooth rolling across the floor and Devo having to catch it. And it even hurt more that, like that's a preventable injury. I think that, the ADA says like there's like 200,000 teeth per year that are saved by people wearing mouth guards. So it's totally preventable. And our lips, they can only do so much because that's kind of like a biologic mouth guard. That's what your lips are for, to protect your teeth. And we just need to do what we can, like to help the lips out, and just wear that mouth guard anytime we're, doing any kind of sport.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I do our emergency line, and we have kids that call, or parents that call all the time. They're at a baseball game and a grounder popped up and hit them in the mouth, and they weren't wearing a mouth guard or a cage on their mask. So, it's just, we're just really, we don't feel like we're doing our due diligence if we're not stressing the importance of wearing those mouth guards. So, it's possible if he'd had a mouth guard in, that wouldn't have come out. So
it's very possible.
Yes. And, you also, that was a weird accident. Like that was a weird fall for him to hit the way that he did. So you may not be thinking in basketball that that's an issue, but at any point they could take an elbow to the mouth. They can take the ball to the mouth, and, and then obviously he fell and just hit the hardwood. So we just wanted to start off today by just letting you know, we do provide mouth guards. We make custom mouth guards. We can do fancy ones. We can, but you can also buy them at your local sports store. We do have some videos on our Facebook page right now that talks about the different types of mouth guards and what they do. So if you want to check that out, I'll get the link for that put up in the comments here in just a little bit. So our main objective for today is just to talk about the orthodontic consult. I know, like for me on my Facebook page, I see a lot of moms asking, what happens? How do I get to see the orthodontist? Like, when should I do this? So when should a child be seen for an initial orthodontic evaluation?
So we like to see kids around the time where their adult teeth erupt. And for us, that's around 6. For most kids, that's around 6. So we like to see them around 7, just so we can take some x-rays, monitor the eruption of the other adult teeth, make sure there's no glaring problems we need to fix, such as, cross bites or, crowding. So that's what we'll do. Initial exam is very low key, pretty easy to get through. All you have to do is bring yourself.
Yeah. That's awesome. So again, and I just want to stress from my side. So Dr. Skylar is the orthodontist. So if your dentist is recommending that your child see an orthodontist, then Dr. Skylar is going to be here in our Bentonville office soon, and we'll be able to start getting all those new patients taken care of. But also, just, I'm a parent, and you may be at your general dentist and maybe they're not bringing it up. Maybe they don't think orthodontics is important because they're not seeing like a bite issue or something like that. But maybe you have a cosmetic concern that you would like to get discussed, and just be comfortable with bringing that up to your dentist. Once they're at that age 6, 7, or 8, if you start to see that, even if you don't see anything at that age, even,
Yeah.
as they grow, if you start to see stuff out of place or things that are more on the cosmetic side, and your dentist is not outwardly recommending an orthodontist, but you as a parent would like to see that, you can totally bring that up. And especially here at PDA&O, because we have both in-house, it's really easy to get that referral over. But just be comfortable with bringing that up to your general dentist. We have a lot of really good relationships with other general dentists in our area as well. So if you are needing any type of orthodontic eval, you don't necessarily have to have a referral from your general dentist, but it is nice to kind of know what the general dentist is seeing. So we may ask you some questions about that when you call to make the initial appointment.
Yeah.
And
And
just
if you missed the 7 years of age, like, and you feel like there's something that you need to, that we need to address, you can just call in anytime, make an appointment, and we'd be happy to take a look.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good point. And all of our orthodontic evaluations, the initial eval, are all complimentary. And so
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about what to expect during that initial evaluation. I know that there are a few things that happen with the treatment coordinator first, and then, you kind of review those. So talk a little bit about what that looks like.
So on my end of a initial consult, it's pretty easy. Just show up. We'll talk a little bit before the appointment starts, and then we'll move to the exam chair, and that's where I'll take some nerdy measurements, some nerdy tooth measurements, count some teeth, and just do a thorough evaluation, looking at cross bites and crowding and movement of the jaw, and then from there we transition to the treatment planning portion. So that's where I'll tell you guys kind of what I see, and then how we want to address those concerns that we found in that initial eval. But the eval is very easy. Um, just bring yourself and your mouth, and maybe like 10 minutes, uh, and then we determine the treatment plan and talk over that with parents, and it's easy as that.
All right, that's awesome. So that was a good segue, because I know you talked about the nerdy measurements, and then there's some photos and there's some types of x-rays and scans and all that kind of goes into this. And then
Mm-hmm.
you take all that information to determine a treatment plan. So can you tell us a little bit about, if you're talking about not necessarily like a cosmetic case, but a strictly like true orthodontic issues such as bite and things like that? Like, what are you looking at to determine like the length of the treatment plan, or what type of appliances should be used for that?
Yeah, so the treatment plan is totally customizable to the patient. So if we find a crossbite on our initial exam, then we'll prescribe RPE, but not every patient will get an RPE. So it's just completely dependent on what we find in that patient. Say we find a bite issue with overbite in your child, so then we would need to prescribe rubber bands or maybe a Herbst appliance. We just have a toolbox full of stuff to use, but we need to use it on that the problems that they're meant for. So not every patient's treatment plan will be the same, and it's usually dependent on what we find in that initial exam.
All right, that's perfect. I like the idea that you said customized, because it truly is. Like, I had
Mm-hmm.
braces with Dr. Jason, and I had all kinds of stuff going on, from, different rubber bands and different ways I had to wear them, and temporary anchorage devices, and like all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really cool to see the science part of it, like the physics part of it. For me, I nerd out as well. So
Yeah.
I just think it's really neat that they get stuff like that done, and just how much you can do with these different types of appliances. So again, we will customize your treatment plan, and then your treatment plan then will tell us what the cost of that is. And that is something our treatment coordinator will go over with you during the initial exam. If we do recommend that they start in any type of orthodontic treatment, then our treatment coordinator will go over that thoroughly. And then we have a financial coordinator who will go over
Mm-hmm.
all of your options as far as how to pay for that. So another question we get a lot, and this is something that I didn't really understand, but I actually went through 2 phases of orthodontics as a child. So, talk a little bit about why we would do 2 phases. So, I mean, I know this is going to be from a younger child to a teenager, but talk a
Mhm.
little bit about why 2 phases is so beneficial.
Okay, so not every child needs 2 phases. Usually a 2 phase treatment. So phase one would be something that we feel is very pertinent that needs to be taken care of in that very first phase. So take, for instance, a crossbite. So sometimes when you have a crossbite in the posterior, this allows, or this keeps the jaw from growing how it normally would if you didn't have that crossbite. So you can see how that's something that's very important that we want to take care of in that first phase. Another instance would be a canine tooth not coming in exactly how we want. Sometimes they get a mind of their own and they come in sideways for whatever reason, and we can do things to direct the path of least resistance for those canine teeth. So there's a number of different reasons why we do a phase one, but those 2 instances. And then as far as phase two is your comprehensive orthodontic treatment. So that's what usually everybody recognizes around 10 to 12 or 12 to 14. Whenever your adult teeth come in, that's when you'll get your comprehensive orthodontic treatment. Um, and not everyone needs a phase one, but a lot of people need or want a phase two.
That's a perfect explanation. So now let's talk a little bit about here at PDA&O, we really pride ourselves on being very technologically advanced in the practice. We try to make sure that we're using the newest supplies, the newest things that we can use to make treatment easier,
Mhm.
specifically for younger children and for teenagers and things like that. Like because we're a pediatric office, like we use different x-ray sensors. Like we have tiny little x-ray sensors that will fit in a child's mouth, and we use all of our theming, and all of that is used to kind of relax the child. But we do have 2 amazing machines in our offices right now that we use specifically for orthodontics, and that is, we have an Itero scanner. So can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit about the Itero scanner, and then we'll move on to our newest machine?
Yeah, so an Itero scanner just takes place of the goop that has haunted all the parents for years whenever they were growing up through dental appointments. So instead of taking an impression with the goop, we can do a Itero scan, which is essentially just like 1,000 pictures stitched together to make a computer generated model of your teeth. And we can do a number of things with that. We can build appliances off of them. We can make retainers. There's this anything you can do with a regular traditional impression with alginate, we can do with Itero, and you don't have to go through the gagging impression.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I had to literally do my appliances with the impression material, and that was not fun.
Yeah,
So
never is.
let's talk a little bit about the new. We got a new. I've always been able to take panographic, yeah,
Panoramic.
X-rays and
Yep.
panoramic. Yes, thank you. X-rays and cephs. But now we have a new, like what they call a CBCT machine that will allow
Mhm.
us to do 3D images. Can you talk about maybe where that might come into play with some of your cases?
Yes, ma'am. So the CBCT machine is really helpful for a number of things, but first I just want to kind of explain how we would use it. So you can imagine like on a panoramic X-ray, that's a two-dimensional image, so it's hard to see depth on a two-dimensional image, especially of a three-dimensional body. So just imagine like two shadows overlapped projecting on a wall. You can't really tell which shadow is in front of the other, and a lot of times we run into that with panoramic X-rays. We can't tell which tooth is in front of the other. So this CBCT allows us to tell spatially where those teeth are at. So if we have maybe like a tooth that's stuck up in the maxillofacial complex up in the top and it's not in your mouth, then we can take a scan and we can tell exactly the force vector or direction that we need to put on that tooth. So it will save us a lot of headache, and it will make the patient's treatment a lot better, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing addition. It also looks like a spaceship, so there's
Yeah.
that. We posted it on our Instagram, but it glows like green, so it looks like an alien thing. But so yeah, so I mean, we've gone over a lot of information today, and the basic thing we want you to take away from this is that having an initial orthodontic evaluation is easy. It's not a difficult process. It's something we will walk you through everything. We will give you all the information. Dr. Skylar is now accepting new patients in our Bentonville location. He will start seeing those on spring break, so that last part of March. And you can call our office now. Our number, if you're watching, is 582-0600. We can go ahead and get you set up for that new patient exam. And if you are a Fayetteville patient and you drive down to see Dr. Jason, if you wanted to transfer, you just need to talk to Dr. Jason and his staff about what that transfer would look like, as far as, is the case eligible to be transferred to Dr. Skylar, and would be happy to get all of that taken care of for you. We're going to be an all-inclusive office, so whatever Dr. Jason does, Dr. Skylar can do. And if they have to switch out and see each other's patients, like, that's totally easily and totally doable for you. We just want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So then the other thing that we're going to be doing is, very soon, we're going to be doing this really cool video with Dr. Skylar. So you need to be paying attention to our Facebook and to our Instagram. We're going to have lots of behind the scenes. We've been kind of teasing about our new orthodontic wing in our Bentonville office, and our equipment is being delivered next week. So we're super excited about that. So I will be posting stuff about that. And then eventually, once everything's set, right before we open, we will do a walkthrough with you. So we'll do a live walkthrough with you, and I'll have Dr. Skylar tell you all about the really cool stuff that we have in Bentonville, even though he may not want to do that, but that's okay.
I'll do it. Do it for you, Amy.
Thank you, Dr. Skylar. All right. So, Dr. Skylar, we're going to go ahead and let you sign off here. We really appreciate you joining us today and taking time out of your schedule. If you are in the Fayetteville office, you can go into the ortho bay right now, and Dr. Skylar is working some of his magic now in Fayetteville. So, again, thank you for joining us, Dr. Skylar, and we will see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So we're going to sign off for today, but I just wanted to go ahead and let you know ahead of time that next week we will be interviewing the ladies Alex and Amanda from Pre-K Mama. They are coming on to talk to us about some really fun things that you can do at home with your child during National Children's Dental Health Month. They're going to have some activities, and I believe even some book recommendations for that. If you want to go ahead and check them out, you can find them on prekmama.com, or their Instagram is prek_mama. And again, they will be joining us next Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. And we will be discussing some really fun ideas for your preschool age children in ways for you to celebrate at home for National Children's Dental Health Month, as well as introducing your child to having really good oral health habits at home. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our interview with Dr. Skylar. We hope to have lots more information with him coming up. And again, if you ever need anything or have any questions, you can always comment right here on our Facebook page. You can direct message us on Instagram or Facebook, and you can always email me directly at amy@smilesarewild.com. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and go visit us on smilesarewild.com.